Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude here. Please subscribe, hit like, and all that. Thanks for supporting the channel, helping me grow this into something bigger if I can. So, BC is going to get warmer by next weekend. I'm going to show you why and how that's going to work out. But the North Coast should see a parade of storms through the week, and some of that will spill into northern BC as well. So let's look at all the details. If meteorologists could only look at one chart, the 500 millibar level chart would be by far the top choice, ranging in elevation from 16,000 to nearly 20,000 feet. This is considered the middle of the atmosphere, the lower atmosphere. So let's have a look at what's going on here with our jet stream. As you can see right now, North Coast is getting a steady barrage. Got this sort of high pressure that's living on down here, and what it's doing is it's feeding this into the North Pacific, into the north coast of British Columbia. This big low that's been sitting down here, it's climbed down the Rockies, and it's bringing cold air south all the way down into California. And as that moves through this week, it's going to usher in a whole bunch of disturbances for all across the United States into Canada right now. As you can see, so we had this omega block going on. That's what this is called right now. Kind of looks like the shape of the omega. That's been giving warm air up to, even up to Ontario. There's been hot weather advisories up there, I think still going on. Even at this hour right now, what is it? It's 9 o'clock at night, Sunday night, and we have lots of lightning, lots of thunderstorms going on in northern Ontario. We'll have a look at that again in a minute. But that's partly triggered because of what's going on with all that heat that's in behind here. So this sweeps across the continent, and it's bringing cold air down south. That's going to light up for some thunderstorms through the American Midwest. That's once it gets to Great Lakes country, you'll see that's going to bring all kinds of bad weather. That nice weather that was in southern Ontario and Quebec by Thursday will be gone, and then you'll see down into the Ohio Valley and places like that, we're going to have this instability. But what that's going to also do is allow for warm weather to start coming up to the BC coast by Thursday. Friday, we see that looking really nice. So on the GFS model here, we see that high pressure is moving. That high pressure bulb that's been sitting in the Pacific has moved kind of inland, and that's feeding us all kinds of warm weather. And maybe we're starting to see here for a moment what would typically we'd think of as an El Nino pattern. There's the oceans are reflecting El Nino, but the jet stream hasn't entirely been doing so yet. You know, I expect above average temperatures in October in British Columbia, but maybe not by crazy amounts necessarily. But this weekend should be pretty warm by Friday, and you see that trough now moving through Great Lakes country. So there'll be all kinds of bad weather Friday, Saturday into the possibility for severe weather outbreaks in the Kentucky, Ohio Valley, places like that, and southern British Columbia, getting that nice warm weather. There is 2 hurricanes or 2 tropical depressions out here in the coast, but they will follow. They like to follow things like this. They'll follow out to sea, so they will not be a threat to anybody. And we see, look at that, Sunday, wide-reaching across southern prairies. That's going to be really nice weather for next weekend. So Tropical Storm Philippe and post-tropical cyclone Rina, as I was just saying, staying well out to sea. So here's that 500 millibar animation on earth.nullschool.net. And as you can see, it's really bringing that nonsense down south, cold air down the Rocky Mountains. But we also have this influence of the Pacific coast, and that is feeding much of British Columbia. Sort of unsettled weather. It seemed nice for a little bit today, but then wasn't, but nothing terribly bad here in Wells. And that just sort of illustrates how that jet stream's bringing that cooler air down. We're seeing snow levels up in the Rocky Mountains. Places in the Alberta Rockies got a fair bit of snow, I saw. But there's also that warm air, even at this time of night. 25 degrees on the American side of the border. So not quite getting fully that kind of warmth into Canada, but pretty darn warm. 19 right there by 17 degrees. So yeah, superior country. Pretty warm right now, and that's what's triggering those thunderstorms. So talking about wave after wave, here was Sunday, 11 a.m., 5 p.m., 11 p.m. Moisture raining in along the coast, Vancouver Island getting a dose of it down to just very little making its way into the interior. Had a little bit of showers here tonight. Long ribbons of rain and precipitation following up this highs, feeding it this way, this low is feeding this way, and that's just making for a nice trail for it to easily go straight down by Wednesday. So we see kind of a continuation, maybe up through that area north of Prince George. You might see some rain on Wednesday at 5 a.m. So Thursday, 5 a.m. This area up into the corner of BC, Alaska, Yukon border, the big mountains there has been just getting hammered with precipitation and snow. So that looks to be a continuation there. So Sunday, 9 p.m., we can just play this animation through. Yeah, periods of rain for the north coast. 4 a.m., those thunderstorms are moving into northern Ontario proper, well into northern Ontario, even Moosonee getting, that's unusual, but that's what's going to be going on in the morning there in Ontario. So 4 a.m. our time, snow in northern BC, nothing crazy, but some going on. And some of those thunderstorms in Ontario, pretty powerful. So that gives us a real good view of what that jet stream's doing up above. But we remain in this unsettled pattern here in BC. Look at overnight, Tuesday, 5 a.m. You see areas that are freezing into the Rocky Mountains, into the Chilcotin Plateau, some in northern BC. Tuesday getting still, you have a wintry mix of precipitation up in northern BC. Prince George, Caribou might see a little bit there. So unsettled through much of this week until we see that changed by Thursday. You see this highs building. There's some of that nasty weather I was talking about going through the States into northern Ontario on Wednesday. High pressure is becoming entrenched on the BC coast, trying to move inland. There it goes. Wednesday, 12 p.m. We start seeing that high pushing inland, breaching its way in, creating a block, steering away some of that precipitation that's been trying to come into the north coast in northern British Columbia. And Thursday, 12 a.m., 2 a.m., that high is now starting to take hold. So this is good news for next weekend. Let's stop here. 3 p.m., 20 in Vernon, 17 Williams Lake, 16 Prince George. Cold up in Fort Nelson, though, and Fort St. John. The fires that are up there seem to be calming down when I looked at hotspot activity from satellite. So you see some pretty warm temperatures in North Shore Mountains, 23s. That's nice. Down to Portland, Oregon, looking at like 26s, things like that. So some pretty warm weather as you get further south into California, into the 30s there, very, very hot. And that's all just going to ride its way up the coast as much as it can, and we'll see some of the benefit of that. When you look at Friday, 1 p.m., we're starting to see 24 degrees in places. Williams Lake getting up to 20 almost, 100 Mile House 20, Kelowna, Penticton over 20 degrees. So nice weather Friday afternoon. Into the evening, fairly mild temperatures. And Saturday, not bad. So look forward to next weekend being pretty nice weather. 21 degrees, Williams Lake, Quesnel, Hickson, Prince George hitting 19 throughout the day. So some nice weather next weekend. Get through this work week and reap the benefits. And just looking at those fire hot spots, last week when I looked at these, it was red all over the place. Things were really burning up there now still. And look, this is still quite a bit of heat being detected, but things are finally starting to calm down up there, it looks like. So that is nice. Only random spots, it will be the Donnie Creek fire. And even when we look out to what's been some of the big ones that have been going on late in the season, Tweedsmuir, just one little hot area tonight. So that's really good news for the fires in BC. They're finally starting to calm down. Maybe with the warm weather, some will kick up some smoke again, but fire season is finally starting to look like it's in the rearview mirror. So anyways, I hope that gives you a little bit of a look at the bigger picture, what's going on, and why BC is going to have a really nice weekend next weekend. But first, we got to kind of go through this sort of unsettled period to get there. Okay, so please subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, I got lots of cool videos on here from my fire season that I've been putting up, so do check it out. It gives you a bit of an idea of what it was like to be us when we go out there and do what we do. So enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.